you have to declare that as an unrelated business. So that's what I'm saying. If the biryani is a small, right? I mean, you have to categorize in a way that, that's why I told you that it's for public good, meaning you're feeding hungry people, and if they are donating it, your donation goes back to the organization. Right, you have to say that it's donation, and on top of it, if that is more, like if you're putting $70 for biryani, and the income is huge, that's when the problem starts. That's when you better make a biryani as a subsidiary business, declare it as a profit, and feed it to a non-profit. Yes, you have to pay tax. It is a public charity, religious based
The idea is gone.
What was the idea?
The restaurant idea is gone.
Yes. That's why I wanted Shadwal Prasad here. He has more experience than me. 50. Again, the Obama is meddling with those numbers. SNY probably knows that better than me.
No, we don't.
No. 50% of your gross income you tax directly. The donation that you give. Right. Any questions? So brief steps for how to incorporate. You have articles in that. I mean, I have a sample if anybody is interested. Name of the corporation. Select a unique name so that it is you can spread that word around, and address of initial registered agent. This is very important. Registered agent is somebody who can interact with the public organizations, and it has to be the office has to be physical. I mean, you can't put PO box or anything. I think our registered agent, if changes, then you have to inform. You have to put the initial board of directors. The minimum is 3, and there is no mandate for any maximum. And you have to very specifically, clearly tell what the purpose of your corporation is, and any other provisions, and the name and addresses of the initial board of directors. So now we talked about a little bit of what exempt is and what private and public charities is. And then we formed a corporation, right? We applied, I just mentioned articles. So now we have formed a legal entity, now we have to govern it. So let's talk about the governance. This is I just created a wall here, triangle. Let's go to the hierarchy. So the top level is the board of directors. So you can imagine, I mean, just for analogy, the board of directors as a brain of the organization. And then the next level comes officers. Officers could be your president, vice president, treasurer, or secretary. Again, this is not a law. This is a standard best practices thing, kind of, because the Illinois state law doesn't guide you as to how you govern it, right? There are some organizations who have come up with the standard best practices. For example, Donors Forum is one best example. So your officers, the board of directors could be officers, or officers could be board of directors. But it is better if you keep the board of directors out of your day-to-day activities. That is why I kind of like this model, where your president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary are appointed by the board, so that they can better monitor the day-to-day activities and lead the major decisions. And because the board of directors should be the combination should be a lot of knowledgeable, experienced, resourceful people, not primarily available for running the organization. So the next in hierarchy is committees. Either officers can appoint committees, or the directors, the board of directors can appoint committees. The committees could be a standing committee or ad hoc committees. Committees with corporate authority and committees without corporate authority. The meaning there is, this distinction is with corporate authority means they have some legal power to execute on behalf of the organization. So they can sign some contracts, whereas the committees without corporation, they don't have that authority. Who is doing this? The board of directors who are appointing the committees, they say, okay, this is the committee with corporate authority. So you can go and execute contracts on behalf of the organization. Then we have employees and volunteers, critical piece of organization, and the members. Not all non-profit organizations have members, but it is very, very helpful if the organization has members. And then the members pretty much keep a monitor or keep an eye on board. Initially, you start with 3 board of directors, and then the members select more board of members. The next topic is bylaws. Bylaws define how a non-profit is managed, right? I mean, bylaws very critical for your organization. They determine which staff board member have authority and decision. Basically, the laws determine the roles and responsibilities of the board, committees, officers, members, volunteers that I just talked about. And also it's a framework for any disputes. You know, if you're not sure about something, then you go and check your bylaws. So in my opinion, bylaws should be detailed, and it should be attorney reviewed for sure, because the language needs to be very, very specific. I'm going to a little bit talk about the sample bylaws here. I basically review a lot of samples for bylaws. There is an effort on this organization to change the bylaws. I mean, not change, but amend. So I kind of like this. There are a lot of, there could be disagreements from some of the people who are sitting here. But this is just to give you a brief idea of what the bylaws should have. They should have definitions, purpose, offices, locations. If you have multiple officers, any seal that the board of directors want, information on memberships, an article on board of directors. Qualification is very important. People like me become board of director. It's a little bit. As Brother Jamal, I'm a very big fan of Brother Jamal. He once mentioned that this is the low point, that he or me becoming board of directors. So qualifications is very important. The reason I'm stressing this is I don't think no one checked my background before I become a board of directors. So that is what this qualification class talks about. It needs to be so specific that how you are qualifying a director. Term of office, how long, and nomination procedures. You know, either this could be a paragraph or a link to another big procedure if you have how you are nominating or conducting elections. Vacancies, if any vacancies arise, how do you deal with it? Removal of directors, there could be some situations where you wanna, remove a director. So, removal is, that is another class. Resignations, if somebody is resigning, how to deal with that and what are the terms for resignation, we should mention that. Compensation, it is, I mean, even though we are the non-profits, we say non-profit, but there is nothing stopping board of directors or anybody getting paid, as long as, it is for public good, it is not for individual. That is the big criteria. Voting rights, what are the voting rights, and voting by proxy. If you have proxy voting, we need to define that too. Another article interesting is committees. You need to define what your committees are, what is the standing committee, what is the ad hoc committee, or committee with car power, committee without car power. So you define those in the committees, and then you define what your committees are. For example, strategic planning committee. This is a very critical committee that should exist. Then we have, I just gave few.